and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, special recognition. Dr. Ricky.
Okay, tonight we have several students to recognize, so if the board wants to come out here to recognize our outstanding students. We will start with the state journalism. Bellevue West students competed at the state journalism on April 28th. Congratulations to Bellevue West senior Isaiah Normiyama. Isaiah, please come forward. Okay. Placed first in yearbook layout and is the Class A state champion in this event. Also, congratulations to Aaron Stubbe, who is here, and I don't think Julie made it, did she? No. Yeah, congratulations. Did you go right on down here? So Aaron, come up and we'll take a quick picture.
Handshakes, good job.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, here we go. Back row, how do you find your window there for me so I can see you? There you go, Mr. Eby, thank you. Okay, everybody, big smiles. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. And I think Bellevue East had some winners as well, but they will be recognized in June. HOSA, Future Health Professional State Leadership Conference. Congratulations to Bellevue West and Bellevue East on their success at the Future Health Professional State Leadership Conference. Please come forward when I read your name. From Bellevue West, Jade Meekins, first place in pharmacology. And Leslie Hooper is the advisor. Come on forward.
Come right behind this here for me real quick. Get a good picture before you head out here. All right, everybody. Good smiles. Here we go. Okay. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, and Bellevue East was not able to be here tonight, so we will recognize those members at the June board meeting. State FLA, congratulations to East and West on their success at the Future Business Leaders State Conference. The students have qualified to attend this year's National Leadership Conference in San Antonio at the end of June. The following students placed first or second as an individual or team at the state conference. Please come forward when I read your name. Vitalia Holcomb, second place in financial statement analysis. And Mitchell Fisher is the FBLA sponsor at Bellevue East. Congratulations.
All of you guys come in a little bit more together for me there. Thank you. Step a little this one first. There we go. All right, everybody. Smiles. Here we go.
Congratulations. Okay, and from Bellevue West, FBLA, Adam Williams, first place in networking design, technology support services, and networking infrastructures, and second place in job interview. Congratulations. Ethan Rule and Kean McMahon. Kean could not be here, so but Ethan placed both of them first place in data analysis. Congratulations on that. And Ethan also finished first place in project management. Brody Struck and Kathy Britton are their sponsors, so come forward. Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations, Kathy.
really have to structure it a little different on this one.
Really, I just see him sit down.
Mr. Eby and Mrs. Wolford, we'll have you scoot out a little bit.
Right there.
Mr. Davidson, we'll have you go this way just a little bit. There we go. Okay, everybody, let's find some windows here. Here we go. This is fun. We've got faces. All right, big smiles. Here we go, everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, congratulations.
Good to see you again. Congrats. Thank you, guys.
All right, consent agenda. The information in sections C, D, E, and F were sent to all members of the Board of Education for review. The administration recommends approval by consent of the items in section C of the agenda identified as an asterisk and the receipt of the information and proposals in sections D, E, and F identified with an asterisk. You have a recommendation to approve the consent items. Is there a motion?
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Eby?
Yes.
Mr. Getz?
Yes.
Ms. Beckham?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford? Yes.
All right, information items, strategic plan update. Dr. Moore.
Well, this meeting is moving very quickly. We're on item F already, so that means I have an hour and a half to speak. So I'll do what I can to lengthen the meeting. In your board package, you do have the Priority 5 allocation of resources, strategic plan update. Probably not, excuse me, tons of things going on, just some things that kind of happening right now. We're obviously in the middle of enrollment season. Students are enrolling around the district, specifically kids from kindergarten. I think currently we're about 520 students enrolled. Typically we're between 630 and 700. We'll just have to see where it comes in at. Many of our kindergarten students are currently, elementary schools are actually doing their kindergarten roundups and seeking kids. Also, we're continuing to enroll option kids. I think I had some notations in here. We have about 147, I believe I've stated in here. Let me check my numbers. Specifically, as of April the 1st that have applied in, we had about 75 roughly that applied out. So as you guys know, we have some kids that come into option. We also have kids who leave the district through option enrollment. So we have a net positive at this time. Let's see, what else do we have in terms of the enrollment related things? One of the things that often happens to us, we get what we call overflow situations, and I mentioned this in the report, where we have class sizes that we feel are getting too large. And so what we do is we take kids who are in their neighborhood schools and move them to a different school, hopefully someplace that is close by. Typically when we do that, we let the parents know, we put them on lists to get back in that school when space becomes available, and then we also have to provide transportation. So about every 4 years, we actually have to we try to get everybody back to their home buildings. We try to do that in a way, we kind of start from scratch. So it's taken us about 4 years to get a little over 100 kids that we were moving from different elementary schools. That, maybe one grade level in this building has too many kids, and so we'll try to move them to some place that has fewer kids. So this spring, we worked with all the parents who are currently on overflow and with the buildings, and we managed to get all of the kids back to their home buildings for this upcoming school year, which is great. The person who appreciates it the most is Matt Moore at Transportation, because it is a logistical nightmare to manage that. We really do want to keep kids in their neighborhood schools whenever we can. So we went through a process of, in the future, identifying 2 schools particularly that will become more of our overflow schools. One on each side of town at the elementary level, Twin Ridge on the east side of town, and Peter Sarpy at the on the west side of town will kind of be our key places for if we need overflow, we'll try to just take them to those locations. That should simplify things for transportation. So that took a lot of effort, a lot of energy by the ladies over in the enrollment department, calling families, talking about, would you want to go back if there's space? Some families want to stay where they're at, and making all of that work out. Other thing on the strategic plan, we always talk about our goals to solicit funds from the federal government, whether it be impact aid funds, but particularly grants. You know, we've had a lot of success working through DODEA on various grants over the years. DODEA has kind of pulled back on some of their funding and some of the more science and STEM related things right now. And so we haven't applied for a grant in the past 2 years. Well, actually, we put one in and they decided they were going to fund any grants in those areas. But we did have one grant that we received a couple of years ago, Project Shape Up. It was terminated, but however, even though it was terminated, we got the biggest benefit out of that grant because we had already went through the process of ordering and securing those resources. And so specifically, Project Shape Up was designed to really get kids moving in the district and really to support our physical education departments, trying to make sure that our kids have access to fitness equipment and the PE teachers had resources they need to really do a great job with those kids across all grade levels. So in an effort to be more than just me talking, last week I snuck out and took some video at 4 different schools to kind of capture what the outcome was of the Project Shape Up. Now that all work is done, all equipment has been installed. So I'm going to have Amanda get it playing. I'm going to step back for a second.
PE is a little flexible and make up games. We can bring games into the PE that the kids have never done before, and those activities and the sports are just awesome for our kids. Yeah, so this equipment is going to be tremendous for physical fitness. You can already see the kids who maybe weren't able to get up the rope wall because they're using strength and muscles that they've never used before. So with that, they're just going to be stronger and better. Thanks to our school board for your support of physical education.
Another thing we've been able to do with that grant money is supply each kid with a baseball glove in class. We do a lot of things where we hit off the tees and things like that. It just allows the kids to have the opportunity to field as well, so you're catching more skills that way. Our playground equipment that we've installed, the kids have really latched onto it. It's kind of like a miniature version of what they did at American Heroes Park, so they're really excited about that victory ball. And the chances for them to just continue to build their upper body strength are there. And another thing it does is promotes some competition, because we do use it as an obstacle course, and like some of our older kids will time them and see how quickly we're getting across, and we're trying to track that. I do fitness tests with the kids, and we kind of just try to incorporate that as part of that week or two that we do that, so kids can track their improvement. It's one thing to tell them to do it, but everybody likes to see a number and track progress. Even the youngest kids like to track that and see how they improve.
So we are so excited that we received this grant because it really does help our students be able to be more active. In a time where we're seeing children participate less in outdoor activities, this is really helpful to get them active and out and doing things that help with coordination, help with them being less restless, and it really just adds to our curriculum in a way that we really need right now.
The kids are obviously really excited about what we're doing. Like I mentioned, anytime you get something new in a kid's hand, we're really excited about it. Just the competition, being the best at something. Kids like to compete, and this is giving them a chance to do that. Definitely want to thank the Board of Education for giving us these opportunities to expand what we're already doing in PE. Sometimes PE gets left behind, but it was very encouraging for the district to put some money towards that, and I think it's made everybody in the district a better teacher.
First thing we've received is the fitness equipment out here, a couple stations. The students are able to utilize this
it's going to help us a lot when we're out here. We like to give the kids choices. Obviously, nowadays it seems like kids like choices, so we get more activity once we give them a couple different things they can do. A lot of kids that like fitness stuff, they get tired of just being on the track, so this is going to give a whole variety of different things they can do to stay active. All right, Smith machine, outdoor weight room, adds a lot of safety for us here. Safety with latches, and as well as just stability for the middle schoolers so they can learn performance technique rather than worrying about how much weight they're lifting. Making sure they're like ready to back down, set it up in that board. Thanks again to our school board. You guys are amazing. Always looking out for what's best for us teachers. We really appreciate all the hard work you guys are putting so we can have this nice equipment we got.
I have enjoyed having all the new stuff that we have with the grants. The kids are loving the rock wall and all the adaptive things we've been able to use here. Here at Two Springs, we have the adaptive playground as well, which all of our students have loved being a part of. The obstacle course has been great, and all of the new equipment we've been using for different games and activities, and the kids have loved it all, so thank you.
Our inclusive playground is truly more than equipment. It is an opportunity for our students to explore, to have fun, to build confidence, to give them those opportunities they just never had. So I like to think of it as more than that.
The inclusive playground has been an absolutely wonderful addition to Two Springs here. It not only gives our kids a new place to play, but all the kids come. And I've seen more bonding, I think, on that playground than I've seen in other parts of the playground or even in the building. For some reason, the kids just all come together and enjoy it. And the other thing I like about it is there are so many different things for the kids to do there, things that we don't have the opportunity to do on the other playground. And not only do, again, our kids can do it, but all the kids around the building. So we want to thank the board from the bottom of our hearts to adding this playground to our school. It has been a tremendous asset for both staff and kids, and we cannot even begin to thank them enough.
So you can see from the video, a lot of the equipment, each of the elementary schools received an outdoor fitness course, which is what you saw in the Two Springs video. That actually, you see the camera that went through the whole thing, that was me with the GoPro on. I just decided not to climb anything, or was like, just teasing. However, and you saw the climbing walls, as well as some of the other equipment that was purchased. So each elementary school received the fitness zone. All 3 middle schools received the fitness zone as well. That was the one that kind of had more of the weightlifting and the, I don't even know what those things are called. I don't use them in some of the bicycles and things like that, the hand bikes and things of the like. And then, of course, the 2 adaptive playgrounds, one at Bellevue, one at Two Springs. Specifically, the reason they received that is because we have our intensive special education students there, many of them in wheelchairs, and they just haven't had playground accessibility. So providing those there for those kids who have some of the most significant needs, we thought was really important with the grant. So overall, we spent about $1.4 million for the grant. Through the grant, the district and the foundation also contributed some funds along the way to ensure the schools that were not covered by the grant also received the same equipment. Those schools are the Twin Ridge, Betts, Avery, and Logan are the 4 schools that didn't have a not high enough military connected population in order to qualify for it. However, we did ensure that those schools also received the same equipment as everyone else. So it's been a good program for us, and we're really proud that it's done. There's some other things we would like to have done with the grant. However, the main projects in it were completed, and it is having an impact for our kids every single day. The last equipment was probably installed about a month ago. So we are up and going.
Did Birchcrest get a new playground?
They did get a new playground. That was funded as their normal playground for they replaced their old playground. It also is an adaptive or an inclusive playground that has wheelchair accessibility as well.
And Avery as well is about ready to...
Correct. If you haven't been to Avery, they have a playground opening on, I believe it's this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. They've spent some years raising money. They have a beautiful new playground, and then when you throw the fitness right next to it, it all matches. It's the same color. It is really impressive. I know that John and the kids over at Avery really appreciate that. But that was done through the foundation and through the hard work of the PTA groups who worked to raise the money to put in that playground. The fitness playground was just a complement to it. It really looks fantastic. If you ever run up the road there, you look and see it's a really nice set of structures.
That's excellent, just well done, all inclusive is excellent.
Two questions.
Yes, sir.
All the middle schools have the same exercise equipment.
Yes,
I mean, is that open to the public?
it is.
Okay, the public can use that during.
Yes, they're all located on their tracks at Lewis and Clark. So as you go up the hill to come onto the track, it's right there. They have walk gates in, so people can utilize that. Same thing at Mission. It's kind of I guess in the north side of the football field, outside the track. You know where there's a storage building. It's
that's why I asked.
yes, it is just to the west of that. And there's a gate put in there, so you can like walk the track, or you can come in and use that fitness equipment.
I was down
And
there on
Logan.
Saturday, people were using it.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure
Yes.
that was something.
Well, like all of our playgrounds, they're open for our community to use, and a lot of the middle schools have reported students, adults, parents who are walking will get on some of that machinery and use that to enhance their workout. And really, it's a good physical fitness opportunity for anyone who uses those facilities.
I hate to even ask this, but do we have any vandalism?
None so far.
Because the city, we're getting a lot of vandalism. So I said, well,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
Well, once they put a curfew on you, the vandalism went down, I'm sure, right?
Put a 9 o'clock curfew.
9 o'clock curfew. Now, right so far, we haven't had any. We really haven't had lots of issues with our playground structures being vandalized.
And then I got one more question about something you said earlier about the opt-ins and the opt-outs.
Yep.
What were those numbers again?
Hang on just a second, I'll give you the exact numbers. In your report, it was 137 students that opted in. Those are ones who submitted their information as of April the 27th, and we had 87 who had opted out. And even since this report was submitted, we're now up to 143 opt-in and 89 opt-out.
Is that a pretty normal year?
Yes, very typical.
When you, I don't know if it's on the application or not, but what do you find the main reason people are opting into our school district, and what do you think the main reason people are opting out?
Well, there's really not a place for them on the form to state why they're coming. It just really states their name, it states what school that they're wanting to go to, and it states other information if they have siblings or if they have someone already in the district and things along those lines. So they don't have to give us reasons for. There's really not even a box on there for it. They can just say up through March the 15th is the deadline. We have to notify everybody who applies by April the 1st. But since we still have capacity in certain spaces, we continue to take option enrollment students.
I think you'd see all different types of reasons,
Yeah.
academic reasons, extracurricular activities. I think with the base being here, you could have base personnel that live in different parts of Omaha but still bring their children here. They drop them off, go to work, pick them up, go home.
And the vast number of the option kids, they start here in kindergarten. So we have a good group of this 143 our kids are coming into kindergarten, and many of them they're base folks. You have a pretty good feeling that that's why they're here for. Sometimes they'll add a note to it why they want to come in. But under current law, they get their application in before the 15th of March. We have to accept those kids
As long as we have
as long as we have the capacity.
I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to see if the levels were still the same, because I just wondered if our school district's still attractive for opt-ins and.
Well, I think the fact that we have more students opting in over the course of the year than out probably says that. But the numbers are very, 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 very typical. Like I say, kids go and kids come, and they just kind of swap around, and there's lots of reasons. And I couldn't really tell you why the kids leave, because also we don't get a form that states why they leave. They just make that decision, and the district either accepts them or not.
Is there a place on the application for a second choice school if the first one?
Yeah, many times they'll write multiple schools, and then also when we look at that, we think through that. Maybe we can't get them in at this school, but can we get them in at another school? And oftentimes the enrollment ladies will call and say, hey, we do not have space at that grade level for this. However, we do have space in these 3 or 4 places. Are you interested in one of those? And most times they're like, yes, we just want to come to Bellevue. Sometimes they're very specific about where they want to be at. And that's their choice in terms of if they want to accept a different school or not.
One more question as a follow-up. When they come in here as a elementary student, let's say kindergarten, are they guaranteed to be here as long as they went through high school, or do they have to reapply after going into
No, they don't have to reapply as they change grades. It's automatic if they're already in the district.
Once they're in the district, they're in.
They stay. Yes.
Have you seen any change in the, like with the new elementary off of Fort Crook Road in Omaha? Like the
Yeah.
people.
No, actually, I'm gonna say no. Avery
God,
tends to be,
go to that school.
Avery tends to be one of our most requested buildings, in elementary school. I mean, it's really lots of kids there all the time. We have to turn kids away frequently. And sometimes we get kids in there, and then we get some more neighborhood kids come in. And the main reason is that it's so close to, south of Bellevue that, serviced by Omaha Public Schools. And so we haven't seen anything there. It's just as full as ever, and lots and lots of kids requesting.
I'm sure kids, we're probably losing some kids
Probably
there.
so.
You know, Springfield Bellevue is gonna build a new building down on 72nd, and Cape Park potentially could lose some kids to that as well when you look at the southwest portion of our district. So when new buildings are built in other districts, it probably is a draw for certain families to go to those new buildings.
But I think it's also important to keep our class size reasonable, like
True.
that, and, you know,
True.
which I think is attractive to our
Yeah.
district.
Yep.
I have a question kind of related to class size, and, how often do we kind of look at the whole district and consider sort of redrawing lines? I know Fairview's getting pretty big.
Well, looking at Fairview's numbers, there's still capacity in Fairview except in a couple of grades. The redrawing of lines, I don't know, well, you've never sat on, this is your first time on a board, it's probably one of the most painful things that a school district can do when you start relocating people to different places. I have lived through that in my previous district. When we added another high school, it's very traumatic because you start drawing the lines. Typically in our district, especially at the elementary schools, basically anything that's on this side of 75, it goes to school on this side of 75. Everything on this side pretty much goes, so we don't have kids crossing over. What you would do is you have, hey, where do you shift those kids to? If you redraw a boundary, you're wanting to reshift kids to another building. So you have Fairview sitting there. Two Springs is at capacity. It's pretty full. Fort Crook has a little bit of space, but not enough to really do that. And oftentimes when you do that is when you're seeing substantial growth in one area. And while Fairview is one of our larger buildings, I've also seen that building get smaller and get bigger in the 10 years that I've been here. It actually got smaller over the years. As I said, the Tregaron neighborhood kind of aged out a little bit, but then with the construction behind it, we've seen more kids come into that. And some of the construction that's off of Cape Park, some of that comes to Two Springs. That's why it's kind of filling up. And then likewise, we've also seen Bellevue Elementary and some of its grades start slipping down a little bit. So if we had a huge surge in enrollment, I think that's when you'd have to look and say, hey, we need to redraw boundaries. But right now, I think we're in a position, and with so many of our buildings, with them being 2-unit buildings, there's only the classroom space for 2 classrooms, and then you get kids in that one set, like Avery, for instance. There's only so many kids that you can have, or we want to have, and there's only two sections. Sometimes our 3-section buildings are more advantageous to us because we can take a few more kids, we can spread them out a little better inside those buildings. But 2-section buildings could be tricky. Maureen knows this from her time in enrollment center. Central and Bertha Barber, sometimes a class will pop in that has 26, 27 kids that live in the neighborhood. What do you do about that? You know, it's one of those things where, well, we try to move kids around a little bit when we can. I try to get parents who want to do that. Oh, I'd like to go over to that school because we have space. We do the best we can to balance, given our space that we have and given the teaching staff that we have.
I was thinking more that if you change the boundaries, it would be for new students, not that you'd be moving kids that were already in school.
Well, you're talking about new students who move into Bellevue?
Well, they're in Bellevue, but they're not in school yet.
Yeah, right. Well, typically when you do a boundary because of transportation, every kid who live in a certain zone, you need to transport those kids. So they have to be in one that gets them to school. So if you carve out a boundary and move kids, you have some kids that live in this area, they go to Fort Crook, but all the new kids go to Fairview. That becomes it doesn't become manageable. It's much better just to draw a clean line and say these are the kids who go to that school. But even with that, we have situations where we have certain grade levels. Fairview is a great example. They have one grade level that has 77 kids, if I'm not mistaken. But the class right behind it has 56. So you just never know when kids are going to surge in and at what grades. And even on things like that, we will control the enrollment into that class that has 77 kids. We're not letting anybody else in there. Even a neighborhood kid would get overflowed back into Peter Sarkey or to another building if we need be. So we try to monitor that, try to keep the class sizes down, but oftentimes we'll have two siblings. A sibling who's already there, and then another one comes in, I'm like, wow, families typically don't want their kids split. So we spend a great deal of time trying to navigate that the best we can, and trying to use overflow. Obviously, we'll start from scratch again this year, and we've got the staff we think where we need to be able to accommodate the overflow going back. But over time, it will start building, because inevitably it has. I've seen that for now the second cycle of doing this. We'll probably in 4 years have another 100 kids in overflow, and we'll need to try to regather ourselves and move forward.
I think you and Jeff do a great job managing our enrollment in the class side. It's like so complicated, but you do a really good job of managing it. And I think a lot of families like to be in their home school. And we all know that it's all about the teacher. It's not the class size. It's about the teacher in that classroom. It makes a difference. You get a class of 27 with a great teacher, and that makes all the difference.
Well, but we do our best to try to
It's not all about
limit
the
that,
numbers.
and we try to use requests to attend to alleviate burdens. If we have some place that's kind of full, hey, we'll let you go because we have more space over there as well. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Robert. Legislative update, Dr. Ritter.
Okay, so the session is over. We know which bills have passed, and so we now are trying to sort through what that means. And not only us, but also attorneys and organizations trying to figure out exactly when a bill passes, what that entails. So I'll just go through a few of them that impact the school board and the district that we know of right now. Our budget process will not change this summer. The county hearing will still take place in September, but moving forward, that county hearing will now take place in July. So that means our budget process is gonna have to change, so we're ready to go between, I think, July 1st and July 15th. The county has to have that hearing. Part of that bill forces the county assessor from each county to attend that meeting, which they haven't done in the past. It also indicates that a member of this board will have to attend, and we've always done that the last few years. And any other entity, so example, if the city had to go present, they would have to have a city council person at that meeting as well. So more to come on that, of how our budget will be developed, and just the timeline of that will change, and will have to be much sooner than it has been in the past. LB 429 was a bill that now will allow a second education association access to our teachers. Right now we have BEA, NSEA, NEA. The AAE pushed this bill to get access to teachers as well. So trying to sort through that. A member of the AAE has already reached out to us and wants to meet, and so we'll work through what that bill means and what access they will have. Open enrollment, we just got done talking about that. One change to that will be special education students. If there's a sibling that gets accepted, we automatically have to accept the special education student. The reason we have not done that in the past is because of resources, capacity, those types of things. Now, if they have a sibling in the school district, we automatically have to accept that student. So we'll work through that. K2 suspension, expulsion has changed a little bit. Before the bill passed, it was only for a weapon. If a K2 student brought a weapon to school, it didn't get expelled for that. Now, if they show serious behaviors towards aggression towards another student or towards a staff member, we can suspend or expel under those circumstances as well for K2. There's been some changes to attendance as well. Parents getting a doctor's note and that being an excused absence. Open meetings law, I think we already meet all these requirements, but there's been some changes. We now will be able to advertise our board meetings in an electronic newspaper versus right now the law reads it has to be paper. So that will give us a little bit more flexibility on that. Retirement, there were several bills that involved retirement. Right now, they changed the contribution that school districts have to make and individual employees of the school district make towards retirement.
and that's a scale based off of a percentage of how well the retirement system's doing. That used to go in effect July 1st, that change. It didn't really match up when most schools, September 1st is kind of the new year, so they have moved that date to September 1st, so that contribution can go down or it can go up based off of the actuary study of that retirement system. So that was one change. Probably the bigger change with retirement is right now, if any teacher, any employee retires, they have to sit out 180 days before they can come back for full-time employment. That 180 days did allow for teachers or paras, bus drivers to sub maybe 8 days a month, but couldn't be kind of pre-planned. And now that 120 days is a hard 120 days. They can't do anything for those 120 days. So a teacher, typically if they don't teach summer school, their last day is end of May, May 23rd or whatever. 180 days from that date, so probably September sometime, they would then be able to come back and sub as much as they wanted to under the new rule. So kind of goes both ways, but I think the hard rule will allow individuals to get back sooner to help sub or to take other positions. Food service had two issues. The red dye has been eliminated, and it's not just red dye, there's also other numbers of dye, and I'm not going to get into all the different numbers, but there's different colors of dye that schools cannot have. And one example that Mary Hansen would tell you, Doritos, in a school setting, they will not have red dye, so a Dorito will not look like a Dorito. But if you go to the grocery store, you're going to see red dye in those, and there won't be a problem buying those in the store, but in the school system, we cannot serve a red Dorito, but it will be a plain Dorito that will taste like a Dorito. It's not colored red. Hopefully that makes sense. So that has passed, and Mary and our food service will work with, companies are going to be the ones that have to come up with products that make sure we meet that. The other one is a pilot program that will take place for the next 5 years that will allow, right now we have free and reduced students who get either free lunch or reduced lunch. The state is going to do a pilot program that would allow more reduced students to eat free. The way this bill passed is they did not use tax dollars for this. There's a private donor that is donating the money for the next 5 years. That's why it's a 5-year pilot. Who will provide money to allow more reduced kids to eat free. We have to apply for that, and the state is still sorting through kind of what that means on their end. So those are most of the bills. There's probably a few other bills that could impact the school district, but if they do, we will definitely keep you up to date on those. And like I said, right now, attorneys and organizations are sorting through exactly the language and what this means. The reading bill, if you have questions on that, did not pass, so there's nothing in there about retaining third graders who are not proficient readers. Very controversial, came down to kind of the last minute whether that was voted or not. Lots of amendments, and at the end of the day, that did not pass. So I'm sure that will probably come back in a different form next session, but as of now, that's not part of our school year next year. Questions?
I got a question with them changing the timeline on the budget. Does that, that doesn't only change when funds are dispersed or anything, or does it help?
No, the only thing is we have to know from the county, and we're not sure if the county then is gonna give us their number earlier, because without that number, right now, it's not certified until August something. That number is really important, so we know what our assessed value is. So that's something there's lots of questions on, if we will get the county number sooner, so then we can put our budget together, budget proposal together. If not, we'll have to present in July without that number and have to come up with some type of estimate that then could change prior to the budget being adopted in September.
What was the reason for moving it up 2 months?
I think just more transparency, allowing people, right now, the way it happens in September, we go to that hearing, and in a week and a half, we are adopting our budget because we have to have that in by the end of September. So, you know, as a taxpayer, you don't have a whole lot of time to listen to the presentation, although I would share, we have budget hearings locally in July and August that we haven't had great attendance at, that explains the budget. But those individuals going to the county hearing might hear a budget for the first time, and then if they do have concerns or thoughts, it's really hard for a taxing entity to turn around in a week to change your budget and get submitted to the state. So this will allow for more input from taxpayers in July till September when we actually adopt the budget. Hopefully that makes sense.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
Public comment period. Public comment pertaining to items not otherwise on the agenda must be submitted to the Secretary of the Board 5 days prior to the board meeting. There were no items submitted for public comment. Board of Education member reports on meetings they have attended. BPS Foundation.
I think, you know, they had the alumni, honored some first class of the alumni, Hall of Fame. And then the scholarship breakfast was just have that. And then the next big fundraiser for the foundation is the golf tournament on July 10th. And that's kind of that'll be the summer activity, and then the gala will be in the fall. And I think the foundation's been doing a great job with raising funds and giving back to the school district. And like Matt noticed, some of the playground equipment, those costs always shared with the foundation, and they target the different schools and try to keep them refreshed on a regular basis. So doing lots of good things.
Scholarship was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, that's a great
Amazing.
event. You guys did a great job.
Just amazing to see all the recipients and recognizing the students, so
It's a good event.
well done. Maybe we meet on Wednesday. Other meetings, and then we had the NASB meeting, national meeting was good.
I have a brief summary of that. I wrote up something, but I won't read the whole thing. I did think that.
Just do the high points.
I won't do the high points, but most of us up here went to the National School Board Conference in San Antonio. I thought it was I thought it was good. It wasn't as attended as well as it has been in the past, but I thought there was very good things about it. I always enjoy looking at the exhibit hall. I think that's a pretty good thing. Many classroom technology support team in the schools. They had a lot of things. We should have brought Mary Hansen. They had a lot of food exhibits and things like that. And I think they even had Doritos at that food exhibit. The biggest thing I noticed in the breakout sessions that I went to, and even in the keynote speakers, was the AI. The consensus I wrote down, the consensus is straightforward. AI is here now. Schools need to engage with it thoughtfully, and there was a lot of discussion centered on using AI to support teachers, personalized learning, mental health, and improve operational efficiency, while also establishing clear expectations and guardrails for responsible use. And I thought that was kind of the key message that I gathered from it. There were 3 keynote speakers. I heard 2 of them. One of them was Zach Cass, who was a leading voice of artificial intelligence and I think all of us went to that one. That was a really good one. He was the smartest guy in the room by no doubt, and he talked about how the rapid revolution of AI from enhanced applications to the days of emerging autonomous agents and projected a future where AI functions as a natural language operation system. I don't know what any of that means, but what it does is it tells you how fast AI is improving every day, and I gathered that out of it.
Yes.
And I thought he was a very good speaker. And then I thought Brandon Flinton delivered one of the most impactful moments of the conference. He talked about his personal journey from a struggling student and dropout to becoming the Harvard debate coach. His story highlighted the transformative power of a single educator who recognizes potential when others did not, and he happened to be an English teacher that recognized that it serves as a powerful reminder to me that while technology is changing daily, the role of educators in changing lives remains as critical as ever. So I thought that was a pretty good message as well. So
That's good.
that was mine.
That's good. I always feel when we go to the national conference that there's always something that we leave with that we're better off knowing. But I also realize when we leave that we realize how good Bellevue is. And, there's always so many districts out there that we can glean something from what they're doing. But we really are fortunate here. We don't have a lot of the struggles that some of these other districts have. And it's, you know, it's a relief.
I sat listening to the AI speaker, and I wondered what teaching English would be like now with that. It's fundamental change, fundamental difference. I think you would end up doing far more writing in class. But I have no idea. I'd be interested in seeing some.
I mean, the difference between last year's convention and this year's convention was just monumental, how much it's progressed just the last year.
I agree.
And then the guardrails, I don't even know what the guardrails would be, I mean, that's pretty, it's smaller big, but I mean, you know, how do you know that this big essay, this big report you're getting hasn't been all generated? Well, there's tools out there that do that for them, and I'm sure the school, you know, I've talked to Jeff about it and other people, I'm sure we're incorporating those, but I mean, they're changing every day, you know, so how do we stay on top of that? I think we should put Scott Eby in charge of that.
But you always have to remember, there's nothing better than your own intelligence. You know,
Well, you have to have the
remind
intelligence,
our
you have to have
kids
you have to write, you know, you have to give it the starting point, but then the way it takes over and the way, you know, and you get to the point where you're gonna be able to listen to your voice and do on-demand kind of stuff, that's gonna be kind of, it's just gonna be a whole different world, so.
If I could add, yeah, one thing, so obviously this was the first conference I went to in my professional life. I go to conferences all the time because we have continuing ed. So I, you know, recognize the value there, and yeah, I would say Brandon Fleming and Brad Gask are both amazing. In fact, I read his book, I haven't read it yet. But I did appreciate, where's that, Cass, sort of the basic, like, learn how to learn. So continue to be a learner your whole life. And go outside. And I really think we should have our little people, especially outside more. I think that's better for them. And be human was another one of his bullets. So my only other thought is that I think it's important, because we're stewards of somebody else's money, taxpayers' money, to really regularly evaluate sort of return on investment for trips like this, because it takes, you know, meaningful commitment of time and money, and especially when there's multiple board members that are going. We've got the Nebraska State Education Conference that gives us an opportunity to do some of the same types of things with more of our direct peer group. So, you know, we could maybe be thoughtful or come up with a policy or something, or maybe how many people attend and how do we measure outcomes? Like, this is great, but what are we gonna do that's gonna change and make our district better? And that's what I would like to see. Something actually substantive change for a positive.
Yeah, what's our goal? What's our purpose?
How do we take what we heard there, apply it in some way to the district to improve our outcomes? I went to a fireside chat on the, I don't know if anybody else was there. What boards get wrong about the literacy crisis was actually really good. It wasn't a formal session, it was a fireside chat, but it was all about third grade student.
Yeah.
The intervention needs to be earlier. So.
I will say, I think our district does, well, we heard it at our last board meeting, I think with our strategic plan, I think our district does a really good job of, at birth, you know, with our early childhood, starting early with our children on parent training and hitting it head on with those toddlers, infants. And that's where it has to start. You know, it's gotta be, you just can't intervene at second grade or third grade and expect it to happen. You know, it's gotta be at birth. And I think our district does a really good job of identifying those issues and intervening and providing strategic interventions so that students, when they get to third grade, you know, we're not gonna have all students at third grade read. You know, we want that to happen, but, you know, we've got a lot of hard work at the front. And so it's always good to hear different strategies, but Yeah, so other meetings attended, I will tell you, thank you, AJ, for a wonderful BEA banquet Friday night. Well done. Your recognition of all of our teachers is meaningful, and we appreciate them so much. You guys had a really class act, and thank you for inviting us. It was lots of fun. So, anything else?
I'll add one thing, it's not,
Yeah.
it's a meeting that's coming up, so it's a transition into future business as well. So on Friday, NDE will be hosting their school board, their board meeting here in our boardroom at 9 o'clock. And so prior to that, they have committee meetings on Thursday afternoon, and we will be presenting to NDE board and NDE staff about the relationship between Offutt and Bellevue. So Colonel Russell will be presenting, I'll be presenting, school liaisons will be presenting. So it's going to be a great opportunity to showcase kind of what we do in Bellevue with our military students. And then they'll also get to visit some of our classrooms at Peter Sarpy Thursday morning, and then they'll come back here for their committee meetings and then the board meeting on Friday morning. So a great opportunity to showcase Bellevue. They kind of travel from district to district sometimes with their board meetings, and they have chosen Bellevue for their meeting. So anybody's welcome to come on Friday morning to their meeting. It's a public meeting.
That's the other thing you get, I think, about the national meeting. You get to talk to other districts, other people, smaller, bigger, other states, to see what's going on in their districts, and that's really helpful. Because every once in a while you fall into a conversation that that makes a difference. Think, what, I did not think of that, and that's.
So what time is the Friday meeting?
What was that?
The Friday meeting you just discussed.
What about it?
9 a.m.
At 9 o'clock.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Thank you,
Yep.
sorry.
All right, future business, May 5th, district retirement reception, May 21st, landscape for students and staff, May 23rd, high school graduation ceremonies, and June 8th, Board of Education meeting. All right, and do we have a motion to adjourn for our May 4th Board of Education meeting?
I second.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Getz?
Yes.
Ms. Peckham?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.